Hello, and welcome back to me building in The Sims, starring me building and The Sims being The Sims. Today I have a build called Mystic Pine Lane, built in Glimmerbrook. It is a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, mid-century modern home, coming in at 70,940 simoleons. That's all I have to say about it. The video's over. Goodbye. Just kidding. Um, this is the house that I built inspired by a house I saw in real life, actually. I was walking home from work one day, and I was just cutting through a different neighborhood that kind of borders on mine, and it's full of these really beautiful mid-century modern houses. And this is sort of one of the ones that I saw. Not exactly, of course. I'm not building a real person's house. I think that's weird if I did that, like 100% for real. But the house in question that I saw had this really interesting little feature. So there was like a space above the garage. There was like a detached garage and a space above the garage that was like some sort of living space. I'm not sure what was in there. It could have been anything. I don't know the people who live there, so obviously I've never been in their house. But there was this essentially, I think of it as like a sky bridge, honestly, that was kind of connecting the main structure to that upper level of the garage, so you didn't have to go through the garage to get there. And I was really fascinated by that detail, and I said to myself, you know what? I want to bring that to The Sims. And so I did. And that was basically like my whole inspiration for making this house. Anyway, um, another part of this that I really wanted to capture was just the whole vibe of mid-century modern. A lot of that is these kind of really interesting angular shapes. I went for a bit of a butterfly roof line with that little bump out there. I also, hey, look at me, I'm making the sky bridge. This was awful to roof. We're going to ignore it though. I cut out most of it. Don't worry. You don't have to watch me be bad at roofing. But yes, so I wanted that little butterfly shape. I wanted these really low roof lines. I wanted this little bit of angularity, which I really enjoyed, and like having the garage be on an angle. I think it also just really worked for the shape of the build and making a nice flow for your non-existent car pulling into your non-existent garage. I don't decorate it as a garage. It's like an art studio. Um, but yeah, I also used a lot of like a decent mix of windows, like base game, Snowy Escape, You Discover University. We got there eventually. And that was really it for windows for the most part. And then I used that door from Get Famous, which you may notice is a bright orange. And I am in love with that bright orange. I think it's beautiful. Um, I end up having a really dark color on the exterior of the house too, so I really, really like how it turned out. But yeah, I wanted I wanted to have a lot of natural light, and I wanted to have a darker color scheme. So you can see in the appliances and the windows already, I have a bit of darkness coming in, and the lower cabinets, I have darkness coming into the kitchen, but I have the white countertops to kind of brighten it up a little bit, so that you have the light reflecting off of those. I am putting entirely way too much thought into the lighting physics of the Sims build, and that's okay. But yeah, it was a really small space. I wanted it to be just really cozy and compact and like a space where you could just be and you wouldn't have to like worry about cleaning the whole thing super rigorously. And it's not a huge entertaining space. I end up having like a bit of space in the back where I feel like you'd be more likely to entertain. And then if you have like a barbecue and you have people over, you're like, oh, the bathroom's just downstairs. They would just go downstairs to the bathroom. And yes, I put the only bathroom downstairs. There was no room for it upstairs, but I thought it's The Sims. It doesn't really matter. And it's next to the little guest bedroom and a laundry space as well, so it's a decent location. Whatever. It's The Sims. They're not gonna care. They just walk to the bathroom either way. Yeah, at least you don't have to go outside for it because I feel like that would be kind of inconvenient, especially if you have seasons and you have like a snowstorm or something. But yes, this is the build. I've talked about the build enough. Let's talk about The Sims. So much has happened. I built this in early August. It is now late August. Um, a pack came out. It looks exciting. I haven't gotten it. I'm not sure when I'm gonna get it. The gameplay loop I don't think is really like what I want out of gameplay, but to be fair, Sims gameplay in general isn't really what I want out of gameplay. But that's a topic for another time. Uh, I think it's interesting. I kind of prefer the gameplay of University to what I have seen of the gameplay for high school, just because I like what is essentially like not quite resource management, but like time management. I think that's a really fun part of gameplay, um, especially in The Sims, where it really is a game about time management. And I think University pulls it off decently well. Um, as for high school, as far as I'm aware, instead of having the rabbit hole, it's just like you watch your Sims be in school, and I don't know if you get to do much with them actually. I haven't looked much at the gameplay, mostly at the trailer and just screenshots I've seen from people. So maybe I'll get the pack sometime when I go back to school. Oh yeah, also I'm moving back into my dorm on Wednesday. It is currently Sunday. I have not packed a single thing, and I have so much I need to buy. I broke my shoelaces yesterday. I need new shoelaces. Um, I'm not freaking out about that though. I'm freaking out about the other things I need to do between now and then, such as my audition music for my school's orchestra, which is staring me in the face and I have not played through once. And my audition is September 1st. Whoa. But whatever, I can worry about that some other time. Anyway, that was the living room. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm putting a little desk over here. This was a super discombobulated build for me. Just for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you why. I just kind of build really scatterbrained all over the place. And I like to just do whatever I'm drawn to immediately. I feel like I might have done a build recently, like in my personal time, where I was really focused and I really went one space at a time. And as much as I enjoy doing that, that just isn't how my brain works. Yeah. Anyway, how have you all been enjoying high school years, I guess? It looks fun. I will say it looks fun. And I didn't mention any of the build by stuff. The build by stuff looks really, really beautiful. And I do highly appreciate the effort that went into it. Art Deco really isn't my style of choice, but I do think the Art Deco in that looks really nice. I can't wait to see what else people make from it because I've seen some really impressive high schools. But the idea of building a high school is just so daunting to me. Like, that's a 64 by 64 lot. I don't like filling up 64 by 64 lots and making them feel full and properly utilized. I made like a really big mansion in my spare time last month or the month before. It was exhausting. And like since the update came out, I've been building another mansion because for some reason I like to build mansions when I know I don't have the time to. And it's exhausting. But whatever. I've been having fun with it. I think curved walls are weird, but I understand what doesn't work. As in, when you have a curve, basically, when you have a curve, there's certain points where you can't join a full size wall to it. And I understand that's because the wall you'd be joining would be like not a whole number of walls. So like let's say there's a point on the curve where you would need 1.5 normal straight walls or diagonal walls, but they can only be like one or two or whatever whole number. So I understand why that's not working, and I've seen people get kind of frustrated with that. And I totally get why also, because it's a limitation. No one likes limitations. The flooring with them is a bit finicky, but I can live with that. I haven't been like running into massive issues. I've just been finding workarounds. Though I actually have recently seen how people have been putting rounded balconies on the rounded walls, and knowing that has been really eye opening and really good to know. I don't actually do any rounded walls in this because I built this before I updated my game because I didn't update my game for a while because I saw it was like breaking some stuff, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna wait for my mods to be updated. And then I did something really stupid that you're gonna see later, but I updated my mods without updating my game, and it kind of broke the game for me for a while. So I ended up doing part of this build without the tool mod, and unfortunately, the part that I do without the tool mod included when I decided I wanted to put like a wand for a spellcaster. So I ended up not having a wand in this house for the spellcaster, who I imagined would be here. I actually don't know if I've mentioned the spellcaster bit yet. I've done this recording of this voiceover like 3 times just because I kept messing it up. But I was imagining this was for like a spellcaster and like his husband or something, and they live in that bedroom over the garage and under the garage. Um, I for a while I was thinking I put like a cauldron down there, but I ended up putting an art studio. Also, right here, because I had this little square section of the landing for the stairs, I wanted to do the trick where you can take the corner tile of the flooring. I do it with this flooring here, but that's not the flooring I want. I wanted to do that sort of trick with the with this wider plank that I was using, but it just the way that it was made, the texture was made, just wasn't lining up properly to do that. Anyway, I also do something I don't usually do, and I do that sort of garage space for the house. I thought it looked really nice with that big sort of paved driveway coming up to the house, and I thought this garage would just like I've been saying garage, I mean driveway. I thought this garage, this driveway was a really nice shape because of how the garage and the stairs up to the house were oriented, and I just really liked how that looked. I also put a bunch of trees surrounding the space because when I think mid-century modern, I again think that neighborhood I live next to, and that is a very heavily wooded neighborhood with a bunch of like curvilinear streets, and I think it's really beautiful. And it's really interesting how you have that, this like curving wooded area full of mature trees and all these houses nestled into them. That makes me think of like some sort of fictional woodland creatures' homes or something. I think it's really cool. And then you make it to the, it's like it's built on the side of a hill. It's really cool. And then once you make it to the crest of the hill, uh, it's just a bunch of really standard New England houses. It's a bunch of like 1 or 2 story family homes. They're essentially separated from the trees. They're kind of back from the road, but have like a surrounding of grass or garden around them and not these tall trees. And it's more of these defined spaces, and you have these straight roads and stuff too. And it's really interesting how you have like that differentiation of these two very different neighborhood styles so close together. And it is really cool. And I'm really glad I get to live so close to it and just get to observe it all the time. Also, if you're wondering why I know so goddamn much about this, it's because last summer I took an online class over the summer about architecture, and I wrote my final paper on mid-century modern architecture, and I used that neighborhood next to me as a case study of it. Yeah. Anyway, that was the landscaping I just talked over. I ended up making it really simple. I didn't have the energy to go in and do a ton of landscaping, partially because I was on camera, and like for some reason when I'm on camera, I don't make my landscaping nearly as detailed as I would if it was just me on my own with like a couple hours to spare. It's also really exhausting to landscape that much, and I just didn't have the energy to do it. Anyway, here is me remembering the garage space. Just kidding. I don't remember the garage space until the very end, but I do remember the guest bedroom. I made it just the same colors as the rest of the build, and I pulled in that yellow from those chairs onto that bedspread just to kind of match that pop of color. And in general, the pops of color in this house, I wanted them to be really earthy tones. I wanted them to be natural colors you would see in nature. So that could be like a flower somewhere, like a ranunculus head. I don't know. And the orange is probably the most unnatural color that you see here, but I still really like how it contrasts from like the exterior and all the black frames. It's so good. And it's also again something that like I've seen in real life in this neighborhood. There's a lot of houses with these really dark muted um, color schemes on the exterior, and then you'll have like a door that's like a bright pop of like robin's egg blue or like stark white or something. And I think it looks really nice. And then because I definitely wanted to sort of emphasize the outdoor space, I put some string lights up here. I unfortunately didn't really do much for the exterior in terms of activities out here. I feel like I could have definitely put something for gardening. I could have put maybe even a grill, but I also wasn't really feeling these are grill people. So yeah, I put some string lights out there, and actually, now that I think about it, I totally could have put a telescope because I think that would have gone perfectly. And this could be like, I'm thinking moon sorcerer, moon druid. Yeah, moon druid. That'd be cool. And honestly, just like a druid, I think would be a really good fit for a house right here. Just because like it's very in nature, it's very natural. I tried to stray away from using any sort of like essentially synthetic materials, like going the Frank Lloyd Wright way of designing houses, or using as many natural materials as possible. That mostly being like wood and stone. That was like his main thing was using wood and stone in his houses because those were to him the most natural materials. And so that's opposed to using like I guess laminate or vinyl or something. So I really like how this turned out, and I like how I kind of reflected those ideas in this house as well. And here I was just putting some extra books onto the bookshelf because I just like the look of more books. There's no such thing as too many books, basically. Also, I should probably mention that I did something really stupid when I was building this. So, you may have noticed I had to re-enable move objects on when I was placing stuff. That's because I updated the tool mod and Better Build By. And that's cool. But what I didn't update was the rest of my game. So I had updated mods and an old version of the game, and naturally it broke the game a little bit. So you might see that later when I'm doing like stuff with terrain paint and stuff with windows. I kind of ignored it when it was with the terrain paint because I was like, oh, whatever. I know how to do terrain paint, like right here. I was like, oh, whatever. It still works. And then I tried to do something with I tried to put some windows in the garage, and I was like, oh, that's not how that's supposed to work. And I just I just updated my game. No, actually, I turned off Tool. That's what I did. And so by turning off Tool and Better Build By, I couldn't access. Yeah, here I came back into the game. I couldn't access a wand for a spellcaster, and I also had to like manually post the windows, which I think they're like fine, whatever. But like I couldn't access objects for a spellcaster, specifically a wand. I just wanted a wand. And so I didn't end up putting one in here, but I think that also makes this a bit more versatile for like the average player. If let's say you don't want a spellcaster, you just want two husbands living here, and one of them's a painter, and one of them is not, or they're both. No, I only put one easel. Only one of them's a painter, but he has this killer studio, so you could do whatever you wanted in here. You could. Oh man, I'm wishing there was like enough. Okay, I totally should have put like a little something that you could paint from reference here. Like I know there's like an existing object in the game that's like a chair with a lamp and plants or something on it. But I was thinking I could totally set something up here. I didn't, but like here's an idea for you. Um, or one thing I really wish is that you could do like sculpture and you could have like giant sculptures in the middle of there. So he's like a painter and a sculptor. That could be cool. But alas, no use complaining over things. And then I finally remembered to decorate the desk, which is when I was wanting to put like a wand. I put the wand case and realized, oh, I don't have wands in the game, and I got sad. So you could put a wand. You could make a spellcaster and then have them travel to the magical realm or whatever, and be like, "Hi, I want a wand, please." And they say, "Okay," and he pays for it. And then I also just wanted some beams above the kitchen there because I thought it would look nice. And I had a window right there. I just kind of went all out with this place. I just put windows wherever I wanted them, except for the front. Because okay, this is hopefully my last mid-century modern architecture design fact. Um, as part of the whole deal was privacy, but a connection to nature. So typically, the front of the house or whatever part of the house faces the road would have small windows just to let in light. Um, and the part of the house that was facing the woods or the yard or whatever would have really big windows and also these wraparound windows around corners, which I included. And I think that's cool. And I also think that doesn't work when you don't commit to the aesthetic. As in, there's another house that I also passed by that has the tiny windows in front, and it looks really ugly because it just doesn't have like the pizzazz factor. But who cares about that? The build's almost over. I hope y'all have had a great time. If you want to download this, I have a website. It's in the description. Check it out sometime because I think it's really cool. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Have a lovely time and goodbye.